Go interactive with
Matt. Get it? Hey everyone, Matt Carter here with Shaw TV. As a craft beer fan, I'm in an amazing place. Always like to be in a brewery right now in White Sails Brewery, the newest brewery here in Nanaimo, and I'm also very excited to be sitting right beside arguably the most esteemed, prolific beer writer here in British Columbia, Joe Wiebe, the Thirsty Writer. Joe, welcome to Nanaimo.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Absolutely, we got some tasty brews here to talk about in a little bit. We got to, of course, give you your props. Joe is the author of Craft Beer Revolution, Insider's Guide to BC Breweries, as well as a number of works you've had published, also done some radio work on CBC and some television work. So tell us about how you got the name Thirsty Writer.
Yeah, well, it was kind of a funny story behind it. I was doing a lot of travel writing, and I was actually on a trip to California, to wine country in California, Sonoma, walking through vineyards, and it was with a bunch of wine writers, or I think 10 or 12 of us, and I was the only kind of just travel writer. They were all actual wine writers. We were doing all these amazing meals and all the, fancy winery visits and tours and everything, and on the second night, they kind of staged an intervention with me and said, you should do what you do, should do what we do, but you should do it about beer instead of wine, because all you do is talk about beer while we're on all these wine tours and wine dinners and everything else. So I took their advice to heart. I'd already been thinking about it. Like, I really had this great love of beer, and I was trying to think how I could capitalize and grow that, and decided I'd brand myself as the Thirsty Writer, and off I went. And then basically, I started talking to editors and sending out ideas for stories to magazines and so on that always had a beer theme to them. And in a lot of ways, I was in the right place at the right time, because that was kind of around 2008, 2009, and that's when a lot of the early kind of growth that led to the recent big boom in breweries was starting to happen here in BC. So.
And now I can totally understand, someone who might not know craft beer, they can just see this big lineup of different labels and colors and styles, can be quite confusing. So what would you say to someone to sort of get them into trying craft beer for the first time?
Yeah, it's a really good point. It can be a little intimidating for sure. You're used to drinking one kind of beer, and you see a range of colors. First of all, you don't have no idea what you're going to get, and you see a list like they have, and you have no idea what the names all mean and all the rest of it. So, but the good thing is that all these breweries, and a place like White Sails is a good example, but all these new craft breweries, they will brew a light colored and light flavored beer that will be attractive to someone who's used to a beer like Lucky. And in this case, that's this one here, which they call the Departure Bay Session Ale. And it's a light, it's not a lager, it's a light ale. And then, the other thing is if you start with a little sample like this, you can have maybe 4 different beers like they have here in a row. They have a wide range of flavor options. You could try with the one that you are comfortable with, and then you at least try the others for taste, and you never know what might jump out at you, right?
So another place I know, as well as breweries to try multiple beers, are things like events. And so I'd like to ask you about Victoria Beer Week, which is coming up, which you're a co-founder and director, coming up March 4th to 12th, various venues in Victoria. So
this is going into our 3rd year now. We kind of started on the fly, a bunch of beer lovers, some guys that work in the beer industry, like reps for breweries and so on, and then people like me who are just more on the outskirts talking about it, that kind of thing. We kick off with 2 cask nights in a row, with a Friday night and Saturday night cask night, held at the Victoria Public Market, which is a really cool space in downtown Victoria. During the week, we have a whole bunch of different events. We do a lot of food and beer connected events. And then as we get towards the closing weekend, we finish off with a big new event we're doing called Lift Off. And this would be a really cool event for folks here in Nanaimo to maybe plan on coming down for. Basically launching a whole bunch of new beers, brand new beers that have never been released before.
Yep, it's victoriabeerweek.com.
That's
you see
right.
the full schedule and get tickets as well. Maybe just recommend or give a shout out to some of the breweries sort of north of Victoria on the island that are putting out some great products, or particular beers that you think people should be looking for.
For sure, great, yeah. Well, on the way up here from Victoria today, I stopped at Red Arrow in Duncan. And Red Arrow is, if you haven't checked it out yet, it's a really cool building. It's a beautiful brick and ivy covered building. It used to be a custom motorcycle shop. There's a new brewery opening up in Chemainus later this spring, summer, called Riot Brewing. I'm a huge fan. If you go up island a little bit up to Cumberland and Courtenay, there's a trio of new breweries that opened in the Comox Valley. For a region that had nothing, even a year and a half ago, to have this sudden kind of arrival of craft beer there. It's very exciting. So I'm a big fan there. But of course, here in Nanaimo, I'm also a big fan of Longwood going way back, and Wolf as well. So it's great to have White Sails here to join the scene.
Here, here. All right, well, we've talked a lot about Vancouver Island breweries. Of course, many amazing breweries in British Columbia as well. So I highly recommend, obviously, checking out Joe's book, Craft Beer Revolution, The Insider's Guide to BC Breweries, your website where people can get more information and order.
ThirstyWriter.com.
So get on there and get out to a beer event, get out, support local breweries. So
come and say hi when you do.
Exactly. All right, let's get down to business.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.